Okay.
There we go.
Yes,
Just
it
got
is.
the message. Okay, so I think the first item we have, well, I guess Janelle, you want to do the roll call?
All right. Steve Dibble,
Here.
Ed Cahill,
Here.
Heidi Emmerich,
Here.
Nick Berger,
Here.
Tim Peck,
Here.
Paul Wright,
Here.
Don DeMartini.
Okay. Seems that maybe Don has not been able to get on yet, or is it muted?
No. Good
He's
evening,
here.
Frank.
Oh, who was that?
This is Dawn. Good evening.
Oh, okay. I see you up there in my upper left.
Good deal.
Good evening. So I think it appropriate, first of all, to say a few words and say that how much I appreciated Dave Sorbellini's time on the board and his guidance through the years. I think he was a great leader and helped us through a lot of problematic times and issues. And so we will miss him. With that said, we do have a new member on the board, Don DeMartini, and I'd ask Don if he could just spend a minute and briefly introduce himself.
Well, thank you, Steve, and hello, everybody. As Steve said, Don DeMartini, been happily a resident here in beautiful Olive for 21 years. Kind of time has gone by. As I was saying to Steve the other day, my roots go back. My grandparents did their honeymoon in Phoenicia and been coming up here for decades. So good long-time roots and really value where we are. I'm in West Shoken over on 28A. And my day job is I work for Citibank based in New York. You guys are probably all familiar with the Paycheck Protection Program during COVID. I ran that nationally for Citi from here in West Shoken. $5 billion went out of this little 2-bedroom cabin. But genuinely proud of my work with small business around the country and really look forward to being, again, first and foremost, a resident of West Shoken and looking forward to contributing to our town's growth and keeping an eye on the future and retaining all the charm of the past.
Thank you, Don, and welcome. Anybody have any questions for Don before we get started? No? Okay,
Good
then
deal.
Welcome.
I
No
guess
questions,
we're
but welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Heidi.
yeah. I guess we're on to the election of officers, and I just wanted to I guess make one comment, and that's that Helene, we know, left us earlier this year, had actually been our secretary in terms of a title. I don't think we replaced her or replaced that job role. And I don't know if it's necessary or not. So I guess I wanted to kind of hear from the board as to whether we feel we need somebody to be named secretary.
What would the responsibilities of secretary be, Steve? Obviously, maybe we weren't missing them.
I think in general it was if we had correspondence or something to be sent out, they would kind of take the lead and get it written up and sent out.
I think also in the absence of a chairman, I think the secretary leads the meeting.
Okay. Fair.
Steve and team, do we have anything that's statutorily defined that we must have X number of officers or what their roles are? Or is that just up to our own individual board in each town?
I guess if you actually read the state versions of the town laws, the town board appoints the chairman. I don't know that there's anything that specifically references the secretary or other officers of the board.
Great.
But traditionally, I'll say more traditionally, the planning board has elected their own officers, and we had opted, and it worked. I think it worked quite well to have essentially a co-chairman, two people as co-chairman, which gave us some, I'll say, flexibility in terms of the meetings. And when one person couldn't make it, the other person typically could. And there was never any question in terms of who's there to sign things that need a chairman's signature, et cetera. So any thoughts on that? Anybody want to throw in?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that one. Yeah, I think that worked out really nice to have the co-chairs, and there was always somebody to run the meeting. So I would like to continue with that if we can.
I'll
Could we do-
nominate you, Steve, as one co-chair.
And I was
Yeah.
gonna ask Tim if that meant he was
No,
putting his hat in
no,
the
I,
ring. So-
no, that
I-
didn't apply to me, but
Could we call it first chairman and vice chairman? So in other words, if both are at the meeting, then
Yeah,
let's say, and then, so I mean, if, I'm all ready to make a nomination if, unless you want to keep discussing it, so.
I had the same thought that maybe a chairman and vice chairman if nobody else is, if we don't have two people comfortable with being co-chairman, I guess that's, so. I'll volunteer, Ed, go ahead, if nobody else is gonna raise their hand, Ed, if you want to make the nomination.
I would nominate Steve Dibble for chairman, Tim Peck vice chairman, Heidi Emmerich secretary.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, fair enough, seconded by Paul. We need to go through one by one. I feel odd leading this portion of the meeting, but,
Nominate yourself.
yeah. I guess we'll vote in favor of myself as chairman. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Any abstains? Okay. Janelle,
No,
is that
that's
sufficient
fine.
for?
That's sufficient.
Oh,
As long as
Okay,
you're willing to take the position.
I accept.
Vice Chair, Tim Peck, are you willing to take the position before they vote?
I actually think Heidi would be better, to be honest. She's more knowledgeable. So I honestly think she would be better for the position, with the one exception that you sometimes have to recuse yourself from certain things. But otherwise, I think you're probably the better fit.
I appreciate that, Tim. I also think that because of my occasional recusals, and I'm very frequently unable to go to the town to sign things, as some sort of leadership role, that would be difficult for me. I mean, maybe as secretary, but if I need to sign maps and so forth, that's difficult for me to be able to do when we're in this kind of format. Plus, you run meetings so well already, Tim.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Tim, would you accept the nomination then?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor of Tim Peck as vice chairman? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? No, let's record show that we've elected Tim Peck as vice chair. Okay, Janelle?
Okay, that sounds good. Next is the secretary,
Okay.
Heidi Emmerich.
Heidi, do you accept the nomination, I guess?
I think I can handle it. Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of Heidi Emmerich as secretary?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstains? Okay.
Okay,
Show
so
that,
we have our officers. We have Steve Dibble as the chairman. We have Tim Peck as the vice chair, and we have Heidi Emmerich as our secretary.
Thank you very much, and I'll try to do the role justice. So I will say I will miss Dave because he had some great leadership skills, and I counted on him a lot of times to stop me from sweating through some of the issues we faced, but we'll do our best. So with that said, I nominate the vice chairman to take over the meeting from here. No, I guess we can move on to the minutes.
But wait, before we do that, is Heidi still going to represent us at the county planning board?
Is that something that's renewed annually?
I don't know. I know in the past, Helene was the secretary and she was a representative, so I don't know if
Yeah.
that goes hand in hand or whatever, but.
I don't have my paperwork right handy, but I actually believe that it's a term. If we put a pin in that, I will take a look, because I think there's a nominated term.
Okay.
So I'll get back to you on that.
That is something that I think, does the town board do?
No,
They did.
I believe you
It's up-
guys
It
nominated
is up to
Heidi
us,
for it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You-
well, I know
you
we asked her.
nominated- Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say that the procedure was that you nominated me, the town board put it up for approval, the town
Right.
approved it, then presented it to the county approved it, and it's for so long. So that's the part I'm going to check
Okay.
on.
Well, Heidi, if you need anything from the planning board, just let us know.
Okay,
I know I will be happy to renominate you to continue in that role, so,
thank you.
okay, thank you. On to the minutes. Does anybody have any comments, questions, corrections? I know I found one. And I guess I'll just go ahead. Janelle, on let's see, page 7, under section 5, the first paragraph.
Okay.
Let's see, it's first sentence, second sentence, third sentence in, it starts with Mr. Iaposi. Don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
Page
Said-
7.
Page 5 or
Page-
page 7?
page 7, yeah, about at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, and
Very bottom. Mr. Iposi said he did prepare these agreements and emailed them to the planning board, and then it says Mike Moriello also noted. I think that's probably Mike Iaposi.
oh yeah,
I-
you are correct. Mr. Moriello was not on that part of it.
Yeah, I didn't think he was involved in that, but I did have to read it a couple times to decide that. So that's actually all I had. Anybody else?
Good.
Okay. Great job, Janelle. Would
Best in
someone
the
care
West.
to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I
Nick will
second
make the
that motion.
Oh, you made the motion. Oh,
No, I was asking if someone
Yeah, yeah.
would make the motion.
yeah, I'll make the motion. Nick will make the motion.
And second
Okay.
that, Nick.
Who was the second, Don?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Any
just to circle
objections?
back,
What's that?
sorry, no objections. I was just going to circle back on that date for the Ulster County Planning Board.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's December 31st, 2024 is the
Oh,
term.
okay. So it's a 4-year term or?
I'm
like that.
finishing out. It coincides with Drew Bogus's term. So
Okay,
it's as long as he goes.
okay. Sounds good. We don't have to worry about it, but try and remind us at the end of 2024.
I'll try.
Whoever may still be here.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the next thing up on the agenda is the public hearing for the SAS properties. But I think we still have 5 minutes or so before we get started with that. Is there anything on anybody's mind that they would like to cover in a few minutes while we wait?
Are we gonna continue on Zoom after the 15th?
Oh, you know what? I didn't, that's right. That end date was set when they put the order in place again, right?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know if we have a choice, to be honest. I think
You know,
we're told whether we can or we can't.
I think it'd be prudent to continue doing it this way for a while.
Yep, I agree, given the current situation. I think in the past, though, we were told we had to meet in person, then we were told we had to meet with Zoom. So I guess we'll see if we have a choice or not. I'm kind of expecting that order to be extended. Don't know, though. That could affect Janelle, obviously, with any upcoming public hearings, right? We'll need to know,
Yeah.
so we get them in the paper correctly.
Well, I mean, I think being somewhat, we see those all the time in corporate land, and just subject to is sort of the latest and greatest, subject to whatever regulatory authority in place at the time. You know, states are different, whether it's federal, state, county, et cetera, et cetera. So subject to, as Ed was just saying, you know, Zoom, unless communicated otherwise, and that should cover.
Yep. The question then becomes, how do you communicate otherwise? But I think we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think I'm going to assume the next meeting at least is still going to be in Zoom at this point. So.
As my first role and duty as secretary, I can reach out to the town board and see if they plan on issuing a directive or following any sort of directive that comes to them.
Yep, yeah, that would be great. I think in the past, they've said they're basically tied to whatever the governor's orders are. And those often don't get updated until the day they expire, but
That's true.
we'll see whether that's still the case or not. We have a new administration, right? So
I think they just issued a whole new guidelines today. I was listening to the Ontario thing that was going on, the COVID forum, and they had the vice county executive there, or deputy county executive, and he said that they just came out at 3 o'clock. I don't know if it affects what we're doing, but you know, it might be a little tidbit in there for it.
okay. Yeah, if you can check, that'd be great.
I will follow up.
Yeah, terrific. So let's see, we're 7:19 here. So if maybe we can go ahead and get the documentation up on the screen. Tim, are you driving, I guess?
Yep.
Okay, that'd be great.
So Janelle, I just want to make sure it's this one.
I'd have to guess it's that map there, 12/21/21 amended map is the one that you're going to be dealing with.
That's
And the amended application and seeker are the application and the seeker on top.
that's what I'm thinking too. Okay.
So do we know?
So I don't know, I'm sorry, Steve. So, because I know that we were provided, the applicant had not, the surveyor had not put the names on the, across the road. I contacted him, and the maps that you have in hand are not amended with the names across Acorn Hill, but the latest PDF that was sent did have the names. Are the names? I can't see it right now.
They are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So is somebody from NASAS Properties, is Mr. Rivera on the call? If you could unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? I'm on just now. Yep, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, no problem. You're just on time. We're just getting started. So we have not opened the public hearing yet. We're just speaking among ourselves at this point. So do we feel the maps are up to date at this point? Does anybody have any additional concerns about the maps? I looked at it and it seemed like what we had raised has been addressed.
I went through my comments, Steve. This is a much more complete map, much more in tune with what we were looking for, and I think is suitable for filing at this time. It demonstrates access on Acorn Hill and obviously Grassy Ridge, and the topo is very helpful, and the meets and bounds were critical, and they're all on there, which was great.
Okay. I noted the, actually, Tim, if you can scroll up on the map, I guess. I noticed this little area for the road driveway up above. I guess it's a current like Woods Road or something on the kind of the, if you bring the cursor down below that block of property to the right.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah, in there. I think one of your concerns, Heidi, right, was regarding access to the upper part of the property after the subdivision, right?
Exactly.
I originally looked at this and said, wow, this is pretty steep, but then I realized the contour lines are very fine, like 1 foot or 2 feet. So it seems like it's pretty doable. Do you agree?
I do agree. Yes, it looks like there's 2 areas. I mean, obviously it does go up a bit of on a ridge, but it looks like there's 2 areas to enter. There's room there. So I don't think we're boxing anybody into a corner by creating a lot that's, doesn't have options. It definitely seems to have options.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have any other comments, questions they'd like to raise before we open up the public hearing?
As everybody said, I think they addressed all our comments quite well. Yeah, and just a minor drafting error, but right where I think they're missing a joining line between Shafter and Ryan. There's no distinct. It's a minor thing, but
Can you get
yes,
have Tim point to that?
If you go down a little bit, Tim, probably mid map, right where your cursor is, right there. You got there's no distinguished line between the adjoining property line, distinguishing the 2 properties apart. It's a minor.
Mr. Rivera, do you see what he's saying?
Fortunately, no, yeah.
I think it's what Ryan and Schachter, right? There should be a line somewhere there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think they're related. That's mother and daughter there. I'm not sure what they did on their parcel. If they combined it, I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't have 2 separate lot block numbers.
Yeah.
I think tax ID numbers if it was 1 parcel. So I think it's just a question of getting the line in there that shows the property line between those 2 lots.
I believe somebody commented too that there's another property in there between the 2 of them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, this is Crystal Schachter. I'm actually on the call.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi. Yeah, you're right. I noticed that too. There is a property line between my lot and that's my parents, RION, Ryan.
Okay.
And there is another property between their lot and Kevin's. I can't see his last name right now. I think it's Kessick. There's an additional lot in that that chunk there.
Okay,
So right below him, there should be 3 lots, Grable, Ryan, and Schachter.
okay. So unfortunately, I'll say that raises the question of, did Grable get a letter sent to them?
Jack, it sounds familiar.
She did. She did. She told me she did.
Oh, okay, okay, good. So it's just missing on the map.
Steve, have we
Okay.
officially opened the public hearing?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Rivera or any other questions from the board?
Stephen and the rest of the board, do we have the ability, and just really for me, it's a point of information as the newbie, do we have an opportunity to see the previous, the historical version of the lot lines and then have the newer one side by side just as a reference point? Be able to do that on screen, or is that a technology prevents us from doing that?
Yeah, I don't know if it would be too practical on Zoom with our small screens here.
Yeah.
You can, in fact, bring up the Ulster County parcel viewer and view all this as the county currently has it, which would be essentially the before picture. So
John,
you could, go ahead.
I didn't mean to step on you, Steve. I
No,
apologize.
no problem.
This line, if I'm pointing right above that, Tim, that is the new line being proposed between the 2 parcels. So on this job, on this application, this whole parcel encompassed both of lot 1 and 2, and that line going through the wetlands there is what's being proposed. So that sort of gives you a sense of how big the piece was before, being that you weren't here last month to discuss it. Maybe that's obvious to you, but I wasn't sure if that helps at all answer your question.
Yeah, sometimes we have color maps and that helps out too. So you can better see where the new lines are for the subdivisions, but.
Well, absolutely. And to Ms. Shackler, I'm sorry, her earlier comment about an additional property being in there, just being able to see the historical reference, if that's a county resource, that's fine. But to be able to see them side to side, it seems like a practical way to look at it. Ultimately, once any amendments, any edits have been made, et cetera, before final is done, final is agreed upon. Just thinking out loud.
Yep.
We were talking about the adjoining properties, though, not the actual property.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
right? But it all lends to the credibility of the overall document.
Yeah, if you could overlay the 2 and set some colors, it would be ideal. But I don't know that we have that capability. I'll say.
Okay, fair enough.
So
don't want to poke the bear.
Ideally, it would be great to be able to take this map in a digital form and overlay it with the Ulster County parcel viewer, but.
Yeah.
It's not such a terrible idea. I mean, I often during the meetings refer to the parcel viewer while we're all talking. I usually pull it up and look at it and, take a look at some things. It wouldn't be terrible to have Tim pull up the SBL. I mean, they do that in the Ulster County meetings as well. They have them all queued up and that is quite useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with looking at that sort of thing, friends. On the commercial side, looking at commercial properties around the country, just seeing what's the historical, what's the current, and what's the proposed. And there are actually often 3 different views, and things hinge on an inch sometimes. So just curious. Again, this is a capability we can explore down the line. Technology just gets better and better, not the other way around, thankfully.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? If not, we'll go ahead. I'd like to go ahead and we'll open the public hearing. And I think we can jump right in and we'll open the public comment portion of the public hearing. Tim, are you able to, I'll say, kind of moderate through the chat?
Yes.
Okay, so if you would like to speak, please post a message to the chat. And Tim will let you know when it's your turn. Do we have anybody here who would like to speak on the topic of the Nessus Properties subdivision application? We'll try one more time. Is anybody here that would like to speak regarding the current subdivision application in front of us? If you would, you can.
Oh,
you can
actually,
just-
yeah, there's Sean Monahan, me. Sean,
Yep.
are you able to unmute yourself or?
I'm unmuted.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
Sean?
sorry. Yeah, you can see I'm joining property owner here. I was just curious, and sorry, I'm relatively new to this process, just to understand how do I find out what is the plan? I've been out of town for the holidays. I just found a notice in my mailbox yesterday.
Okay, so I guess what I'll do is ask Mr. Rivera to briefly then state what his intention is here, and we can talk you through it on the map as well.
Hey, Sean, Happy New Year.
Hi, Sean.
The person buying the land is proposing eventually, I guess, to put a house on it. That's all I know. I mean, I'm just carving out the 22 acres to that person, and that's it.
So Tim, if you could bring the cursor down to what will be the new lot. So for those who may not be aware, what's being proposed is a subdivision of this bigger block of property to carve off 22 acres as a new lot, and that's what's shown in the lower left of the diagram as it's currently on the screen. Okay.
That's directly across the street from Mr. Monahan.
It's adjacent to me because I'm on both sides of the street. So it's adjacent to as well as across the street from. See this little corner here?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. It's an
Do
interesting.
you have any other questions or comments?
What's the timeline for the purchase? So should the subdivision be approved?
I'd imagine probably will close in the next month or so, I presume.
And any information as to when building would occur?
No, I don't
Nothing
have
yet. Okay.
obvious idea. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Don, just again, to give you a little more background, this particular lot is, let's say, being subdivided as a non-buildable lot until septic approval is obtained from the health department. So
Okay.
Of course.
typically, when a subdivision takes place, we like it to be, as a buildable lot with health department approval, but there's a note, I think it's note number 9 that reflects that, in fact, this is not buildable until
Okay.
health department approval is obtained, so.
Okay. Yeah, because there's I think as you can see, it's a wetland that flows into the pond. It's a pretty rough terrain back there. So kind of curious to see what would be buildable.
Mhm.
All right.
And just out of curiosity, guys, just because of the requirements with DEP, whether this is a weekend or full-time ownership, and what contribution DEP or hearsay, whatever impact they may have on anything being built or improved, or just again, point of information more than anything at this point.
I think that's Don, at least partially addressed by the 100-foot wetland buffer. That's typically what's required in terms of I guess the DEC, the DEP. Is this?
This is not in the watershed.
Yeah, this is Acorn Hill is not in the watershed, so the DEP would not come into play.
Gotta love those lot lines, right? What is DEP and what isn't up here?
Yep.
Is Grassy Ridge so Acorn Hill isn't, but is Grassy Ridge within?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is Acorn Hill is far on the other side of the property. Is Grassy Ridge within watershed?
I don't know. Ed, do you know?
No, it's not.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay.
Steve, there was another request from Leonora Weiner. She also had a comment, unless Mr. Monahan had anything else.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, Leonora, did you have a comment or
I had a
concern?
question about the board itself, and Happy New Year, everyone. I'm
Thank
just
you.
curious what happened with Mr. Sorbellini. Is he not on the board anymore?
The board terms run 7 years. And Dave's term expired, and the town board opted to appoint Don, a different candidate, rather than reappoint Dave. So,
Got it. Thank you.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Anyone wishing to speak on this application? Okay, so with that, if there are no objections from anyone on the board, we'll close the public
Steve, I just
comment portion.
I have one
Go
quick
ahead.
comment.
Yes,
I think it's prudent, possibly label the new property line as proposed lot line.
yeah.
So it makes it a little bit clearer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that anywhere on there. That's unusual.
Yeah.
Good eye, Nick.
Is it not on the,
It doesn't say proposed lot line on it actually at all.
is there a legend, I think? Was there a legend on it?
It looks like the same line type.
On the map?
Everything else.
Yeah, it's a property line type. No, there's no legend. Yeah, that should be labeled.
Okay, so we have two issues. The one is with the missing lot and the lot delimiter. And the other is with the labeling of the new property line. Okay.
I'm allergic, Steve, to the comment I had made about the overlay. Again, without clarity, I'm looking at a black and white photo and for both historically and going forward without being clear as to what the redrawn elements are.
I guess, Tim, can you just point out the new property line? Essentially, it's just one new property line. So this is the new property line. It divides what was one large lot into a large lot and this smaller 22-acre lot to the left. So,
Thank you.
yep. Is that clear? It's hard to know if a verbal description does it justice. So, but that's, yeah.
Well, the live visual aid is very helpful. Hopefully in the permanent addition, there's something there that's either a change in something there to the descriptor.
Typically, and that's what it just brought up. Typically that line should be labeled as new lot line.
Yeah.
So. Okay. So I guess we'll go back. Nick, did you have anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay. So without further ado, if there are no objections, we'll close the public hearing, the public comment portion of the public hearing and the public hearing. Does anybody on the board object?
No.
Okay. Closed. So at this point, I guess, do we feel that we can take action on this with conditions, or do we want to ask that the map be corrected before we move on it?
Right, what's the normal procedure if there's a couple things that are caught like this last minute? Just can put as conditions?
Well, the one option, and it's probably obviously the straightforward quickest, is to document the issues with the map that they need to be corrected, and vote on approval of the subdivision or disapproval, but take a vote with the conditions listed as part of the resolution. So,
I think we should take a vote and with the conditions being met.
okay. Okay.
Steve, should
Do
we
we-
also review the seeker first
Yeah, we can do that.
before
We
we
have,
make?
well, and the checklist, so.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll ask, Heidi, do you have a copy of the checklist?
Oh, I have it somewhere in my pile here.
Okay.
Just had it, actually. Checklist.
This is the lot line or the subdivision or lot line adjustment checklist, right? The map
Oh,
checklist?
that I have in my hand that I'm going to read out loud while we go
Right.
through it. Yes, yes.
Yep, okay. So if you
Okay. I don't really need to read the first part, right? The location of that portion which is to be subdivided in relation to the entire tract and the distance to the nearest existing street intersection.
Can you put back up the map?
Yeah, sorry.
Come on, Tim. Oh, yes, the location of the subdivision is noted and the existing streets are all shown. All existing structures, wooded areas, streams, and other significant physical features within the portion to be subdivided and within 200 feet thereof. If topographic contours are significant, contours shall be indicated at intervals not more than 20 feet.
Is this what, this is the property that we voted to, I'll say, not require the structures within 200 feet
Correct.
That
be
sounds
shown on the
Right,
map?
right.
So,
But the second half of that being the contours and all of that and other, wooded areas, streams, etc., those are all on there.
yep, yes,
The name and signature of the owners and the names of the adjoining property owners as disclosed by most recent tax records. And part A of that, a list of names and addresses with SBLs, which we have, and part 2, legal envelopes with name, address, all stamped. We have that. I guess the only thing our resolution will say is to make sure
Yep.
that the adjoiners are included and corrected.
I said on the checklist, I said yes and to be corrected.
4, planning board endorsement block with 2 signature lines.
Yep,
The tax map sheet, block and lot numbers, they're on there. All the utilities available in all streets which are either proposed, mapped, or built. We do have some poles on here, so yeah, utilities are on there.
yeah, I believe so.
The proposed pattern of lots, including lot width and depth, street layout, recreation areas, systems of drainage, sewage, and water supply within the subdivided area.
Mostly
extent
does
that
not
applies.
apply,
Yeah.
right.
All existing restrictions on the use of land, including easements, covenants, or zoning lines.
Yes,
Going to trust that that's all been taken care of by the surveyor. The proposed subdivision name of the town and county in which it is located. That's all on there. License survey signature, date and seal. There's clearly a place for that. I'm sure the ones we get at the town will have that. And the date, North Point, map scale, and name and address of the subdivider.
yep, we got the North Point.
Before we close it out, let me, Mr. Rivera, there's no electric running to your camp, right?
No, no,
right.
well, why do you ask?
Because if there was, you would have to show the
Yeah.
electric running to it, so.
No.
All right.
No.
Okay. Have to remember to sign with the right date. thank you. And can we do the same for the secret?
I don't know if I have a part 2 printed out handy.
It's okay, I have it, no problem. So this is the short environmental assessment form, part 2. A number of questions. The answers are no or small impact may occur, or moderate to large impact may occur. We'll just go through them quickly. If anybody on the board has questions or concerns, please stop me. So it's sorry, there's some paper shuffling or something. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No or small. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No or small. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that caused establishment of a critical environmental area? We do not have any critical environmental areas in town at this point. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affects existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No or small. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to reasonably incorporate available energy conservation, renewable energy opportunities? No or small. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment facilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora or fauna? No or small. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No or small. And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No or small. Does anybody disagree with any of those answers?
No.
Thank you. So I will check that based on the information and analysis above, that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. Okay. Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll need to vote on the resolution. Would someone care to make the motion?
Yes,
Well,
make a motion that we vote. Yeah.
No,
Go ahead,
well,
Tim.
make a motion that we
make a motion that we
approve or deny the application.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Okay, so that's Tim.
I will second that. I'll second that motion, assuming we're putting that it's conditional on adjusting the adjoiner and adding new property line where appropriate.
So Tim made the motion. Heidi is seconding it, that we approve the application for a final minor subdivision made by Mr. Rivera. Approval of this application is subject to the following conditions. Does somebody want to give me some words?
Labeling the new property line, subdividing the lots, and correcting adjoiner lines on easterly side of parcel.
And also adding the one adjoiner too. Carver or
I
Carver?
looked it up. It's just above Ryan. They've got the parcel drawn in there, but according to that Ulster County parcel viewer, whatever that name is, it's Garrity or whatever. I wrote it down. Sorry, put it away.
Grable, I think it was.
Grable is in that nook right there, according to Ulster County Parcel Viewer.
So labeling the new property line, and I have to back you up. I don't write as fast as you spoke.
Labeling the new property line and correcting adjoiners along easterly line to reflect Ulster County tax map.
Did that still need require the lots on the other side of Acorn Hill that were adjoining it? I believe we discussed that last time, and I do know we went through the names and they were advised of this, but
They're there.
They're on the digital, they're just not on our paper copies.
Yeah, I think they're all labeled now on the digital.
okay.
I thought they were on my big paper copy as well, the most recent
I
one.
don't think so, because I caught that at the last minute again.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I see it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So we'll take the vote. Janelle, you want to do the
Roll
call?
call? Yes. Steve Dibble,
Aye.
Ed Cahill,
Aye.
Heidi Emmerich,
Aye.
Nick Berger,
Aye.
Tim Peck,
Aye.
Paul Wright,
Aye.
Don DiMartini.
Aye.
Okay, so that is passed. Mr. Rivera, we'll need you to provide how many copies of the maps, Janelle?
Okay, so he's going to need one Mylar that will be going to the county. And the town needs 3 regular maps and however many more he would like for himself.
I think, Janelle, as a general rule, if we can say at least 6, because the county's going to take their 1, and a subdivider is obviously going to want to be left with at least 2, 1 for themselves and 1 for the purchaser, other party, or whatever. I think 6 at the minimum should be kind of a standard, if you don't mind me saying. Then that's easier.
Mylar plus 6.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Rivera.
Is he on?
You know what? He got dropped. He came back on. I think he might have gotten dropped again.
Okay.
I'll have to reach out because he has to make sure that he has all the signatures on there, necessary signatures.
I'm here, guys. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mylar plus 6 maps.
Yes, and the map,
Wow.
all of them have to have, well, they have to all have the corrections that the board has just asked for.
Yeah.
And every one of them has to have your signature as, I think, the property owner or representative, and the surveyor's signature.
And they need to be updated to reflect the conditions, which is making sure you label the new property line and correct those joiners along the eastern edge of the map.
Yeah. Yep. Understood.
And just as a quick note for you, Mr. Rivera, since it is tax season, taxes just came out, all taxes have to be paid in full before the county will allow you to file these maps. So
Yeah,
I know
I
we have
just-
2 payments and all that, but just want to make sure people are aware of that because it's a tricky
Yeah.
thing.
I just set all my checks out for later this month, so we're good. Yep. Yep.
Good man.
Okay, so just one more comment for you, Mr. Rivera, is that of those 6 paper copies of the maps that Heidi, 2 were for him, right? So
Yes.
if you want more copies for your own personal use or archives, bump that up from 6 to whatever you want beyond the 2 that you'll get as part of that 6.
Okay.
So if you want original, signed original maps, now's the time.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Well, what's the Mylar again? What does that stand? What does that mean? What does it stand for?
It's like a plastic copy of the map that's filed. It's a little more permanent than the paper.
Your
Understood.
surveyor would know.
It's reproducible.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Yep. Okay, guys, we know what we got to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
See ya.
Yep. Okay, I'll check. I don't know whether Catherine or Mr. Bacon have joined, but Sailor Mill is next up on the agenda. I told them that I would text them. and let them know.
Steve, I am here, so no need to.
Okay. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Let me just message Mr. Bacon. Did Mike Moriello rejoin?
Yes, I'm here, Steve.
Good evening.
Tim, so I don't know if you checked your emails this evening. Sailor Mill presented a new version of the map this afternoon, so I don't know.
Yes. Saw that.
Janelle, I think that in the board, I think that was, I didn't hear back from Solomon. He emailed. I think that was to try and meet the note that Catherine had noted on map on page 4, where she wanted the contour lines to join. I think that's what Solomon was
Correct. Yeah, Mike. So
do.
the what Mr. Latham emailed this afternoon was in the submission that I received prior to Christmas and reviewed yesterday when I got back from vacation. I think it was an error in printing from AutoCAD that the existing topography wasn't showing up. So all I did was corrected that error and sent it back to you. So from a perspective of what you're reviewing for lot line, building location, nothing's changed from what the board received a few weeks ago. So yes, it's a, I'm going to say in air quotes, an updated map, but it's really more just to correct the printing error on the existing topography.
Okay. Has Mr. Bacon joined? Okay. We'll give him a couple minutes, I guess, but I did have one question myself, looking at the latest maps on lot 6. I guess I'm looking at the zoning requirements map. Lot
What page
6.
are you on?
What page? Yeah, if you can scroll to lot 6.
Oh, just on the first cover. Okay.
Yeah, it's for me, it's the first one in the bundle.
Gotcha.
Okay, so in lot 6, you see the existing test well. And if you look very, very, very closely, you'll see the 100-foot border from, I guess, using the existing test well. But it does appear to encroach on the septic area. So I know that in terms of building, you have the option to put in a different well, but I'm wondering if you shouldn't just adjust where the septic area is so that it's not encroached on by the test well, 100 feet. Also, I don't know why the circle is so faint, but does anybody else?
This is see it.
This is Solomon with Men Buckeneggers, and I do see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I can correct that tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I guess again, I'll call and see if Mr. Bacon has been able to join.
I just emailed him too, Steve. I don't. Heard from him.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm,
know
I'm
he's,
looking at, I'm looking at Mr. Brewer's map again, and he still hasn't fixed the one thing that we've been saying to fix.
okay, what is that, Nick?
The cutoff text over in the upper.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep. I think we ask that every time.
Okay.
And I was just looking at this real quick too. There seems to be a jog in the actual property line that he doesn't label at all in between lot 1 and lot 2 along Cellar Mill.
Oh, I see.
Right, the most northwesterly corner.
You talking about this?
Yep. Not to mention, a lot of his text is unlegible. I mean, I don't know if the illegible. The county might have some problems with a lot of it.
Nick, where was the other issue that you mentioned? Something about the text?
Yeah, it's in the upper left-hand corner of the map. Keep on going. See, found reinforcement rod. If you go a little bit farther, you'll see right by where your cursor is, a little bit more to your left.
Oh,
Right
that,
there.
yeah, gotcha.
I mean, I'm happy to see that the easements are labeled that we asked for, but some of the text on it, I can't even read it really.
Just a point of information. I'm on the phone with Jim. He's having a difficult time getting connected.
Okay.
Since I am taking notes for the Brewer map updates, what text are you having difficulty reading?
It's mainly the drainage easement text, like right where, if you go up a little bit, Tim, like
Yep.
right there, the drainage easement, I'll go down. The drainage easement, that one bearings, that line going through it, I can't read what that is. And the one on the other end of the property along lot 7.
So lot 4.
Yep. It's pretty much the 2 drainage easements that are.
Nick, are you looking at the full-size map or are you looking at it online?
The full size is the same. I'm sitting here. I can't read them either. I mean, not without really trying to maybe even guess.
Like the
on
lot
some of the
7 one,
achievements.
the lot 7 one is pretty horrible. The most northern bearing and distance, I can't even make that out.
Hey, Solomon, are you taking note of this? I know Caleb's in the air on his way back to Stone Ridge, but are you able to take notes of this, Solomon?
Yeah, I'm taking all the notes.
Another distance that's difficult to read is in parentheses. It's, well, you can't, it's 700 something on lot 8, no build on the, southwesterly line.
And as I said, Solomon, too, the area between lot 2 and lot 1, there seems to be a jog that's not labeled.
Yeah, I got that note.
All right. Just making sure.
Where the pointed reinforcement rod.
Yeah,
that little section right there. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I missed the other one though. The lot 8 no build southwesterly. Where is that?
There's I'm sure it's indicating the conservation easement distance, but it's 700 and something feet, 65, 85. Can't read it.
In parentheses there on the side. Okay, yeah, I see it.
It's pretty much all those labels that are in parentheses are pretty hard to read.
Okay.
The conservation easements and the drainage easements.
Okay. I will make sure he is made aware of those issues.
Must have good eyes.
Well, some of it I think is the line weight. I mean, I think as when it prints, it's a heavy line weight. So probably if it were thinner, you'd be able to read it. But good eye, Nick.
So Jim has joined now. So
Sorry, I'm a little bit late on that.
we, I think, came up with several items on the current map that I believe need to be corrected. So I have a request from Jan Lori Goldman to speak briefly. Jan Lori, do you want to let us know what's on your mind?
Hi, thank you so much, Steve. I just very quickly want to ask if there was a new map that was submitted to the Olive Planning Board today, given that I'm representing the 13 folks who are purchasing the 28.35 acres. Could someone just email it to me, please, so that I'm able to look at it? I didn't receive it today.
Janelle, can you respond to that?
I could put my email address in for Janelle or for
No,
somebody.
I have your email, Jan Lori. I can send it off to you.
Janelle, you're very kind. I really appreciate it.
Or no problem.
That's it. Thank you.
Anybody else that you would like to have a copy, receive a copy?
Thank you. If I could get it as we're discussing this, that would be helpful because I just don't know what's been changed on there, and I can share it with the folks in our community. But thank you for offering.
And Solomon, could you?
Yeah,
explain-
Jan Lori, I can just briefly explain to you the change today. It was on the engineering sheets 3 and 4. The plan that you likely have is missing what we call the existing contours, the existing topography, and the proposed grading on there. The plan that Janelle will be emailing you shortly just corrects that and does put the existing topography on there. So that's really the only difference between the two maps.
Great. I appreciate your description of it. I just would like to look at it myself. Thank you.
All right, so I have to be computer dumb here, and I don't know how to leave the Zoom meeting in order to send an email from a different part of my computer. I mean, I can.
Janelle, I would suggest hitting escape. That should pull the Zoom out of your maximum view.
Or if it's easier, Jen Lori, you can message me and I'll send it to you because I have it right in my email right here. I can forward it to you.
Oh, Heidi, thank you. I'm going to do that right now. Thanks.
That way we won't trouble Janelle, then she'll have to get back in and.
And you have an email, Heidi?
Let's see.
Is there a reason the map isn't made available to
Yes, put it in the
everybody?
message, please.
I'll put it in the message.
The issue is that it was just revised today.
But somebody has it electronically. They could put it up on Zoom, I imagine.
It's up there right now.
It is.
I'm looking at it and I see a leader in 2021 Gardner Magic Quadrant meeting solutions.
I don't think you're seeing the
Oh,
map.
okay. I'm not seeing it. Then. I don't know how that's possible, but okay.
So
I'll figure it out.
You're somewhere else somehow. There's no Gardner solutions here.
Okay,
Gardner
thank
maps,
you.
so,
I'll figure it out.
No problem. Catherine, did you want to say a few words on the letter that you provided regarding CT Mail's position on the current sets of maps and design?
Sure. So the most current set we reviewed, we essentially state that the engineer has addressed all of our prior technical comments. And we did just note what we feel obviously was a printing error on that not showing up on sheets 3 and 4. But as what was corrected this afternoon. We do not have any other engineering comments on the subdivision plans.
Okay. Jim Bacon, Mr. Bacon, I believe you had made a comment about a concern with that letter. Am I right on that?
Well, I just wanted to make sure Catherine looked at that everybody looked at Catherine's letter to make sure that those elevations were correct on the plan. The order, as Mike may have already said, the order of settlement was signed by Judge Gilpatrick. And I think it's left to the board to determine whether or not it's going to waive the final subdivision hearing, public hearing, as this map is substantially in conformance with the one we saw last month. I think that's all of the legal issues. I'm glad the board went over the map and made whatever corrections. I mean, whatever corrections could be, the resolution could be contingent upon those changes being made. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call. Let me see who that is.
Okay.
And
Thank
Steve,
you.
I believe last meeting we did make a motion to waive the final public hearing.
I
Is
think
that
we,
correct? According to my notes,
I
waive
think
final.
I thought we talked about it, but I didn't think we actually did it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of have like a blank space next to it, so maybe we didn't actually do it.
Yeah. I think we talked about that we would,
It was talked
Well,
about.
the minutes-
it's an option.
That it was done at tonight's meeting.
Right. So, so that's a perfect lead in. Does anyone on the board feel that we need to continue with public hearings, have another public hearing on this matter?
I make the motion, we waive the second public hearing.
Nick will second that.
Okay, Janelle, if you could maybe do a voice vote or a roll call?
Absolutely. Steve Dibble,
Yes?
Ed Cahill,
Yes.
Heidi Emmerich,
Yes.
Nick Berger,
Yes.
Kim Peck, Tim Peck,
Uh-oh, did we lose
He's
Tim?
raising his hand here.
Sorry. Yes, that was a yes.
okay. Paul Wright,
Oh,
Paul,
You're muted.
does anybody see Paul?
Yeah,
He's mouthing the word
he's
yes,
saying
but he's
yes.
muted.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
There we
Don
Sorry.
DiMartini,
Yes.
All right.
okay, so we have waived the second public hearing. Do we feel we need to have any more discussion prior to voting on approval? And or several corrections to be made on the maps? Do we feel that we're ready to vote? Or do we want to ask that the maps be updated first?
Steve, this is Mike. We can update those maps, make that a contingency too. We have several other contingencies. I was going to suggest, I don't know, Steve, if your standard procedure is to read through the entire resolution and decision, which I think is going to be a very long time to go through this whole thing to do that. But if you wanted to, and certainly, it's up to Jim, and I defer to Jim. If you wanted to, you could read the now therefore part of this, as long as everyone on the board acknowledges they've read the draft decision and that they're in agreement with it. I think you could read through the now therefore portions of it, and we can certainly make those changes contingent, with grant the final approval, make those changes part of what we resubmit in final form. I let Jim go ahead, Jim.
No, I agree with Mike. I don't think the board's had the draft resolution for a couple of weeks now, and certainly has gone over this with a fine-tooth comb on the record quite a bit. And if the board wants to just read the now therefores and acknowledge that they are in agreement with the content of the resolution, I think that'd probably be sufficient.
I should have also said to the board that we've had a good working relationship with Paul Keller and John Barone, William Demarest, and with Jim, of course, and we will continue to keep all those attorneys and the board in the loop with all documents. So we'll try and provide copies just as we've been doing throughout this. The only thing that we didn't get to Jan Laurie was the last thing that we changed today, which was pretty much ministerial, but we will certainly follow up with all the documents too, with all of the attorneys and with the board.
Okay.
Jim, I'm assuming you've read over this, resolution letter proposed that's been sort of provided for us to review. Everything, it looks extremely thorough and complete to me. Does everything meet your satisfaction so far as you've reviewed it?
To me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's very thorough. I didn't see that much, the substance of what was there was pretty much what was there the first time around, just we have less lots, and there's more restrictions and more detail about the use of the land in the future. So, I think it's a pretty comprehensive document, and I don't know what I'd do to add to it.
Great, thank you. Let me just ask a question. If we do if we make a motion to approve this conditionally upon the Brewer portion of the survey being adjusted more legibly, and that test well relationship with the septic being adjusted correctly, what happens when we look over it? And hopefully this isn't the case, but what happens if something is still not quite right according to our resolution? Does it then go back again?
Well, before Steve signs the Mylars, make sure that those corrections are done.
Yeah, if it's not, then just don't sign it, that's all.
Yeah, I would request a PDF copy of Brewer's map before anything gets printed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, good point, Nick.
Yeah, because the rest of this looks all good, but it's the reluctance of Brewer to kind of fix the things that we asked for. So,
well, to me, if Nick is reviewing it, I'd feel comfortable doing a conditional approval. I just want Nick to be able to look at it before it's signed.
Heidi, and to the board, I added you'll recall if you look on page 5. There's 5 conditions that have to be met before the signing and dating of the final subdivision maps. Mm-hmm. I've added a 6th condition to mine. I just hand wrote it in Roman numeral 6 there. All 5 clarifications to the Brewer map being completed. That I counted 5. There's more than 5, but there's 5 areas that were brought up.
Okay.
So you just added that now, Mike?
Yeah, I put it on mine. If that's okay with the board, we could write it in just so everyone reads the same. All I wrote was Roman numeral 6, if Janelle is listening, all 5 clarifications to the Brewer map being completed.
Okay.
There might be a 6th one too, Mike, because the more I look at this map,
Tim,
I'm going to put. You want me to put all 6, or you want me to put all clarifications? To
Yeah, don't number them.
Okay. Okay.
so we put something like all clarifications as discussed in the
Yep, we can
January
put
4th.
all clarifications to the Brewer map being completed, comma, as determined at the January 4th, 2022. I got the date right, Janelle, this time. 2022 planning board meeting.
Hey, Mike, maybe you should refer to that Brewer map as sheet 207.
Sure, okay. I'll put here all clarifications to the Brewer map, and then in parens, sheet 2 of 7. Okay. Being completed.
And is it the purview of the board, should we vote this evening, that we're establishing a timeline for these edits and completions, et cetera, to be done by before signatures are fixed for the final?
We really don't care how long it takes. The applicant wants our approval, so they'll do it and they'll get it back to us. And
Well, that's my point. And in order to approve something, we want to see these edits. Am I mistaken in that assumption?
right, it's a conditional vote that we'll do.
We're saying
Okay.
the way this works, Don, is we'll essentially say that we approve it based upon these changes being made, right? So the approval doesn't take effect until they've essentially submitted the changes and we agree that they're complete.
So there'll be a second or whatever the number would be. There'll be a revisit of this at some point in time. That's expected.
Only in terms of whoever's signing the maps will make sure that the revisions have been made to our satisfaction before they sign them.
Okay, thank
The
you.
idea is to not have everybody come back again after
Yeah,
2 years of
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so Jim, do you feel we need to read through this and as part of the meeting?
No,
Make it
I don't
part of the
think
record?
so.
Okay. Tim, can you scroll up just to the top?
Top of this
Or
document?
are
Or
we
top
at?
of
Right, so. I assume we're using this rather than our normal town and planning board resolution form.
Yeah, this is a bit of a unique circumstance and
It's the resolution form on steroids.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, classic Mike Moriello resolution.
Okay.
Where it's been
Does,
reviewed by all parties, I think it's a good idea.
Yep. So, does the board feel comfortable moving forward with a vote on a conditional approval of this resolution? And if so, would somebody care to make the motion?
I guess I'll make the motion that we grant conditional approval for the Sailor Mill 20 sub 10 subdivision, conditional upon the items outlined in the document shown hereon, items 1 through 6.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, Ed'll second. And Janelle, shall we take a vote?
Yeah, I mean, can you go to the bottom of that document, or is there a spot for, so there.
Right,
That
we
has to
will
be
need to,
corrected.
we'll need to correct that, yeah.
Mike, did you hear that?
Yeah, we have to change it to planning board member, right?
Well, it'll be planning board vice chairman will be Pack. You see planning
Okay.
board member Pack, it'll be
Yep.
planning board vice chairman Pack. And
Mr. Dibble is no longer co-chair, he's just chair.
yeah,
And then there's a new member, DeMartini.
Okay. I have it on mine.
okay.
Want the roll call, Steve?
Yep,
Steve Dibble,
yes,
Ed Cahill,
Yes.
Heidi Emmerich,
Yes.
Nick Berger,
Yes.
Tim Peck,
Yes.
Paul Wright,
Yes.
Don DeMartini.
Yes.
okay.
And then, Steve, we'll need, obviously we'll need you to sign at the bottom, and then we'll have to have Dawn sign tomorrow and date it. And then if maybe Janelle can email it back.
Yeah,
circulate to us.
Mike, can you email me the updated version?
No,
Perhaps.
no, I don't. I'm working from out of the office this week, and I don't have anybody
Okay.
there.
Does Jim have who?
Yeah,
who?
I didn't write down the exact words that you guys had done. That
I
six.
did.
Okay. So maybe if Heidi emails me that, I'll put in the document and make the corrections on the board members.
Yeah, I guess I'd prefer not to have this one be a scribbled up
Yeah, we'll
document. So
get a clean document.
It looks
Yeah.
so pretty there for a minute.
yeah, there you go. Okay. Anything else, Jim, that we need to address here tonight, or?
I don't think so. Mike, can you think
No,
of anything?
I just, again, I know I said this at the last meeting, but I'd like to thank the planning board, the public, the project opponents for, the way we were able to work things out, and especially my clients for working this out. I'm looking forward to this being a really good settlement and a good determination for everyone going forward. And I just appreciate everyone's work and effort on it.
Thank you. And
Board members, just what I'll do to kind of wrap up the engineering end is, once the surveyor makes those 3 revisions that was discussed to the plot plan, I will review them and issue kind of what I call a final sign-off letter. So that way it goes in the record that all prior comments on the surveying plot plan and the engineering plans have been addressed.
yes, thank you, Catherine. Jim, is
Steve,
there any?
Steve, I just also want to say one other thing. I would just like to say that Janelle takes the best notes of any planning board that I've appeared before. They are certainly the most detailed, and they're excellent. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Steve, also Heidi will email me her notes, and I'll make the changes to the document and get that to you for signature.
Yep. And
It should be in your inbox.
I can then get that down to Dawn.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, board. We appreciate everything. It's been a long, long haul.
Yes, it has. And
Everyone.
on behalf of the board, I'll thank everybody for their patience and perseverance, and Jim and Catherine for their support. I appreciate it very, very much.
Well, thanks, Steve.
Thank you,
Excuse me,
everyone.
Mr. Dibble?
Yes,
Hello?
yes.
Yes, my name is Cecil Hooker. I just, does this mean that you're closing now? I
No,
just
you're
want to know.
going to be on the agenda, Cecil.
Yeah,
I'm not.
no, this is,
You are on the agenda.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're not closing. This is simply closing on one application that has
I'm
been,
sorry. I
you know,
just was, I thought everybody was leaving and I was going, oh my gosh.
no, it's
We
just,
didn't forget about you.
yeah, it's.
All right. Thank you.
This has been a big project, so that's great.
And I would also like to thank everyone on the board. You guys are amazing. I've worked with a lot of planning boards before. I think there's a tremendous amount of knowledge on this board, and I think it's been great. And I think Janelle is just amazing. This woman, I think, is the hardest working person that I know. And so organized. She's amazing.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. And Frank and George, best of luck with the rest of the development. I hope you can get your contractors in and get started as quickly as possible.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good night. Okay. I guess I'll reiterate it to my fellow board members. Thanks for all the hard work on this. I know it's been a long haul, so.
Can we pop the champagne?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll all meet at Snyder's.
I know, we're all at West Shokin now.
Yeah, so, okay. Next up, Judy Mayer, represented by Cecil Hooker, 727 Bly Road, Olive Bridge, lot line adjustment. Tim, if you're ready, if we can put that map up. Janelle, I did have a question. I don't think I got a hard copy. Is that correct? I was not able to find a hard copy of this one, but it wouldn't be the first piece that got misplaced. Did everybody else get a hard copy?
I think we got a hard copy a long time ago.
I've never seen one.
Maybe I haven't dug back far enough in my archives.
Yeah, I think we got it back in September, maybe October.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
not
it was
an-
in September.
Yeah, not an issue. I was able to look at the electronic copy to, I'll say, my satisfaction. Does the applicant, would you like to walk us through this briefly?
I'm speaking for Judy. I mean, Judy's on the line. I'm sure she's here. This is Cecil Hooker. Judy Mayer owned parcel 1, and Steve and Steph Bambina owns parcel 2. I own parcel 3, and there is a new lot line adjustment. There is a section of the driveway for Mr. Bambina is being obtained by Mr. from Miss Mayer, and to the south of that land, 1.4 acres is being acquired by me.
So I guess my question, as I read through this, it looked to me like the intent of this essentially is such that the driveway to parcel 2 will be owned by the owner of parcel 2.
Correct.
And that's not the case today, is that correct?
That is the case. That is the case.
Except for that little piece though, right?
That little piece, he's obtaining that little section in there from me, so that the whole driveway becomes part of parcel 2.
Right.
Driveway. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the the town requires every parcel of land to own 25 feet of road frontage.
That's
Correct.
correct. Yep.
I obtained this property from Judy somewhere in the 90s, I can't remember. And we did not know this. So I created the driveway across Judy's property. And now we are we're becoming compliant to the regulations and rules by owning the driveway and 25 feet of road frontage.
Yep.
That's what initiated this survey. And then Cecil said, well, I'll take everything south. And that's where we are.
Right. Yep. So parcel 3 essentially will become parcel 3 along with that piece of parcel 1 that was to the below the road, the
Correct.
driveway, right?
Correct.
That small piece in the corner will become part of parcel 2 so that the driveway is fully part of Mr. Bambina, your property,
Yes.
right?
That's correct.
Yep. So I'll say, from my view, it certainly makes sense. It's a good move. So, other board members have questions or?
I think it's great that the neighbors work together and make this thing comply.
Yep. To be commended. So.
Thank you.
I guess I don't know if board members have other questions or comments, but kind of brings us back, I'll say, to the map. Anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about the map as it's currently drawn? I have to say, I notice it seems to be some digital and some quite a bit of it handwritten, which is unique these days, but I guess there's nothing wrong with it as long as it's accurate. So
My only nitpicky thing is the area chart. In a perfect world, and I don't know if the board agrees, but in a perfect world, the area summary would better outline who's giving what to who. I know the map shows it, but for instance, we've got Mahar before and after, but it would be great to say Mahar before, then lands to be conveyed to Bambina, minus 0.366 acres, lands to be conveyed to Hooker, 1.433 acres, total acres of Mahar after revision, 7.69. You know, usually on a lot line revision like this, that's got several parcels moving around, it's very helpful to have a very deliberate explanation of who is getting what from who and how the math works. And then that can be cross-referenced to all the areas on the parcel itself, and on the map of itself.
So I'm sorry. On the far left side, you see the little kind of broad idea of the area. You're saying to have it so that it marks the different parcels that go to different pieces that go to different land parcels.
Not quite. On the bottom left, there's an area chart. So Mr. Campbell's halfway there. What I think that I would be personally looking for, so bottom left, him down below.
Okay.
There's an area chart, but in words spelled out. Typically on something like this, when you have many exchanges, not many, but a couple different exchanges, you would say lands of Mahar before revision, whatever that is, 9.49 acres, lands to be conveyed to Hooker, minus 1.43 acres, lands to be conveyed to Bambina, minus 0.366 acres, total lands of Mahar after revision, 7.69, and do that for each parcel so that it's spelled out in writing who's getting what from whom. And then there's no mistaking, no trying to match up where the totals came from. It just cross-references everything that's written on the face of the map, but in writing in a concise location.
I understand.
Yeah, I agree. I'll say, looking at the map, it did take me a fair amount of time to find all the little bits and pieces and figure out what was really happening there. So that would help a lot.
Exactly. It serves to institutionalize the good nature of this what the neighbors have agreed upon. And in future generations, it's extremely clear. This was the property on X date, and then on Y date, it's this. And I couldn't agree with Heidi more. It just needs to be very clear.
Thank
The
you
additions, the
very much. I'll
subtractions.
have that done. It should be, so it's written. It's not like something that's drawn.
Correct.
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 It's just a concise idea of what is being transferred from one person to the other.
Yep. And what the starting and ending acreages are.
I understand that.
Yep.
We'll have that done for you.
Okay. The other thing I noted, and I think maybe as a board, we may vote to allow it without this, but there's clearly no topographical information on the map. Given that this is all existing, does anybody on the board feel we have a need for that?
No, I think it's irrelevant.
Right. So I'll make a motion that we waive the requirement for topographical topo lines on the map.
Second that.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone disagree? Anybody oppose? Okay. So, anything else on the map? Nick, you're usually a meticulous.
Well, I know that the lot line to me. I'm guessing that they're eliminating that line that has the Z going through it. But I think that should be labeled as lot line to be eliminated or to be removed. Because right now it's kind of confusing. I understand the Z probably means it's going away, but I've seen that used where they own both sides of property. So, and it's not labeled in the legend either. So I think it's important to label that to make the map a lot clearer. At first I had to read the little, it took me a while to figure out what the heck was going on.
Okay, Mr. Hooker.
I think that can be. Oh.
Sorry, Heidi, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that can be carried
Instead of
across
the
the board.
arrow.
Anything that's new and anything that's being deleted, those lines should be labeled. So even this triangle, even if the surveyor has to put a little arrow to the line, new lot line and line to be removed, and then obviously follow up with, like Nick said, where the Z, the hook is, line to be deleted. That would all be, necessary.
I understand.
Okay, so I think those are two requests on the maps. Anything else? Nick?
I'm not seeing anything.
Do we have all the other, I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Do we have the signature blocks and everything on here? North Point. But
North Point, yes.
I don't see where the signature blocks over on the. Yep, okay, owner certification, stamp from the surveyor, utilities. I think I did see some poles noted. Did I?
Yeah.
There are a few poles along the road.
Yeah.
I would just maybe
And
ask
driveway.
to connect the points with the utility poles. I mean, it's not necessary, but
What was that, Nick?
I mean, kind of show like how the electric gets there. I mean, he has all the poles out there, but kind of unclear.
We've never really done that, Nick.
All right.
We just show the utilities out on the road normally.
Yeah, I think it being that it's existing,
all right.
Inclined to not be concerned. So, okay. So do we feel that this is ready to go to a public hearing?
I say yes.
I would say yes as well. Anybody have any concerns with that?
Just for clarifications, right? I mean, we want to see those clarifications made so that if folks did show up, it's very clear to the casual observer what's occurred.
Yeah, what we ask is that we'll tentatively slate the public hearing for the next meeting, but it's dependent upon the updates being made and back into us. Janelle, we want 2 weeks ahead of time?
Yes.
So.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so Janelle, can we slot this in on the next agenda for a public hearing?
February.
And Mr. Hooker, I would just have either whoever filled out the short environmental assessment form, if you would
Yes,
have them look at number 3. Right now you've got total acreage of the site of proposed action. That number could be, you know, lands being swapped, but the total acreage of the project site and any contiguous properties, that should be all the total acreage of all 3 properties
I
involved.
understand. Okay, thank you so much for
Mhm.
clarifying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Janelle, do we have everything else we need?
You.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
what is the date of the February meeting date?
It's the 1st.
February 1st?
Yeah.
So it is. Yep. Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Mayor and Mr. Hooker and everybody involved here. And I guess we'll hopefully see you back at the next meeting for the public hearing.
Thank you so much for allowing us this time on the planning board meeting. And
Okay,
Happy New Year to everybody.
Cecil, the public hearing is tentatively scheduled for 7:10 on the evening of February 1st.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And I
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so that will bring us to 20 sub 10, the Shokan Foundation is, I presume, somebody from Brooks and Brooks is
Yes.
on. I think I saw.
Patty
Hi.
Brooks, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Very well, thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you, thank
I
you.
have to recuse myself from this one, Steve.
Yep, no problem. We did, in fact, I think, spend some time looking at this and discussing it at the last meeting, but we didn't have your great guidance. So if you would like to maybe take us through briefly what's being proposed here, that would be great.
Absolutely. As stated in the letter of intent, we're proposing a boundary line adjustment between lands of the New York City DEP and the Ashokan Foundation. Right now, the City of New York owns the Turnwood covered bridge as well as the 2 concrete culverts that are shown on sheet number 1. They are desirous of eliminating their liability for those structures, and they're proposing to convey them to the Ashokan Foundation. As you know, there is a conservation easement on the property, and we did also submit the letter from them, notation saying that they have a resolution of review and support that was from the Rondout-Esopus Land Conservancy. So again, the whole goal here is to convey 1.32 acres, which is a 50-foot wide parcel of land, and transfer it from DEP and annex it to the existing lands of Ashokan Foundation.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, the bulk of the detail is shown on the first page, sheets 2 and 3, because the overall parcel is 360.35 acres. Sheets 2 and 3 are the survey data for the associated resultant larger lots.
Which document is this? I
Yeah,
apologize.
go to the application, Tim.
The application? Okay. So, what page?
The end. The maps are at the end.
Ah, okay.
Wow.
Is this,
That looked like sheet 2. If you can go up one sheet. Nope,
maybe down?
maybe they're not in order.
No, I think it's not in whatever he's looking at, whatever file.
Yeah, I mean, sheet 2, if you enlarge it,
Okay.
you can see the center area. If you make it a little bit larger, you're right. If you enlarge it a little bit more, you'll be right there is the, I don't know, we're losing a little bit of the detail there, but.
Yeah.
Losing a lot of the detail.
I think from the previous discussion, I mean, the gist of it is, and we have at least I do, I have the nice color map in front of me, right? But the gist of it is that the covered bridge and some of the right-of-way property leading to it being conveyed by the city to the Ashokan Foundation, right? I think
That
the
is
one,
correct. Yes.
the one kind of question we had is that, or a comment I'll say we had was that it was kind of strange that it still ends up being essentially a dead end from the standpoint of the old road, right?
Right,
Because the city's going to continue to maintain ownership of the, I guess it's what, the lower part of that road?
Right, and the reason that we did that is if we would have brought it all the way through, then lot number 2 would have been split in half, and the easterly portion of it would not have any road frontage.
Okay.
So the city had to retain ownership on the north loop there, so to speak, so that they could continue to own that as one parcel.
Okay.
And of course, the Ashokan Foundation will continue to have the right-of-way and easement over that remaining portion of it that stays entitled with the city.
Mm-hmm. Okay, other questions, comments? I know this is kind of hard to read.
Yeah, I wish I had a better version of the map. I don't know. Is there a better version digitally that I can pull up? Or
I just went through all my emails. I can't find this nice paper copy that we
The
have
nice
on 11 by 17. I
paper.
can't find it digitally either for some
Okay.
reason.
Yeah, and
So-
I could make sure, if and when we schedule a public hearing, I'll make sure that I have it up and am able to share my screen to make sure that you have a good, clean copy that everybody will be able to see. I'm sure, there's a lot of neighbors.
If you could send Janelle I'll say the digital version of the nice color maps. Either send it or resend them, whatever the
That's fine.
case may be.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll
She can
resend
get
them.
them out to all of us.
And
I
it
know
might be
this-
easier if I send that in a separate, because they tend to get large. So, it could be, so I'll make sure I send that in
All the
maybe 3 separate documents so that they
The-
get through with
the-
the good resolution.
files, yeah, absolutely. So, okay.
And Patty, I do just have one question for you. Only because I'm having a little bit of a hard time telling who owns what exactly and what's conservation easement and is there any way to, even if it's just very lightly, like hash what's conservation easement so I can see what is affected by that? I guess I see the lines, but somehow the lines kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, this is a pretty busy map. There's a lot of detail, and because it's a 200 scale. So yeah, we can do shading, hatching. We'll figure something out, Heidi, that, to cover the conservation easement area.
If you wouldn't mind, yeah, just something to help me determine, obviously I know what's taken because you've got that red and that's great. That's very helpful. But yeah, between the conservation easement and the boundaries and everything else, it just
Gets
be able
lost.
to read it a little bit better. I mean, your maps are always superb, but that one.
Yeah, I have to agree. Sorry, I know I'm the newbie again, but visual story of this is incredibly not clear of what's private, what's the city, what the foundation happily is directing, et cetera. And again, historical versus future.
I think if you saw the original
Mhm.
colored maps, it's quite
Yeah.
well detailed on there.
Okay.
Yeah, the color, what's up on the screen, Don, is,
He should have the
uh,
maps.
it-
They were in the,
yeah, it's not good compared to the color versions that we have hard copies of. Unfortunately, you
Okay.
don't have the benefit of that, but
Totally understand. And
Yeah.
again, in the
did you get
future,
those,
again,
Don? Did you pick those up?
I picked up many documents I got earlier today.
Yeah.
I promise I'll be up to speed in February on everything, but those
Yeah.
were brought in a few hours ago. But I do,
Yeah.
again, just administratively, so for the public hearing aspect, that color would be up, that color version.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we.
So for
we
public
wouldn't- we
comment
wouldn't-
or inquiry, that sort of thing,
We wouldn't try,
it'll be
we
very
wouldn't try
clear.
to work with this map on the public hearing. That would not be sufficient, so.
Okay, thank you.
This is Jay Unger with the foundation. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Jay.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year, all.
Thank you.
I just heard a mention of the easement, and I want to mention the easement actually applies to both the DEP property and the Ashokan Foundation property. Originally, it wasn't, but now one entity holds an easement over the entire everything. It's the Rondout Esopus Land Conservancy.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes, because that's kind of what I was confused about. Between deciphering the ownership of different parcels and then deciphering the easement, that's where it would be helpful. If I know the difference between who owns the different properties and then what is, veiled with conservation easement, that would be useful.
Right.
Thank you.
I have a little easier to look at map, but it doesn't have all the details that you're talking about. So maybe we should just wait for the proper one. Or you have one in your hand, don't you?
Yes, we do. We do. This basically this piece in the middle where the pond is and where the bridges and the trail that many of us have all been on, it's lovely back there. That's all owned by the city. And then the portion in red is the portion they are giving back to the Ashokan Foundation. Well, it's red on my map, but the
Yes,
50-foot wide,
exactly.
whatever it is. And that's okay. So you own on either side of it. And the foundation is on either side, and then the middle. And that's why you don't go all the way through, because you don't want to bifurcate the land. Is that right, Ms. Brooks? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Heidi, what was that terminology? You didn't want to what, the land?
Oh, bifurcate the land. You don't want to split it in two, and you don't want to end up subdividing it. You don't want to split it by the road.
Yeah, if the portion conveyed connected the two Ashokan Foundation parcels, it would have split the city parcel in two.
Mm-hmm. So you're sure the city doesn't want to do that.
No, they would not do that.
So you own up here and down here.
So I'm just, as kind of we're talking through this, I'm thinking about the county and whether there's a county referral required, because it does butt up against, I think, the Marbletown
Yes, it does.
line.
On the east line. Yep.
But I guess I don't know if the county's making a distinction between subdivisions and lot line adjustments. Typically we treat them almost as one and the same. The county does say subdivisions that meet all the following conditions are not subject to their review, fewer than 5 lots. So certainly this is not really a subdivision into 5 or more lots. and access roads and structures are not located within the 100-year floodplain. Well, we've got the stream running through there, right? So,
Yes.
so I'm guessing there are probably some things within the floodplain. So, yes, so Heidi, can you clarify whether they're gonna want to see this? Because it's a, you know, it is just a lot line revision. It's not really a subdivision.
I am still learning, but I can come back with an answer on that. I can follow up with Mr. Leibowitz or Dennis. I speak to Dennis Doyle regularly, so I can check in with him and see if this is the type of thing. I don't think they care about lot line revisions.
I would not see why they would
I
care
don't
about this
think so,
particular
but I
action.
can just double check so that we know
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, I will have an answer tomorrow.
Okay. Is everybody on the board comfortable with scheduling a public hearing then for next meeting for this? Is anybody not comfortable with doing that?
I think so long as we get updated digital maps, I know we'll probably get updated hard copies also if they're going to make any visual changes, but so long as the digital is available for public view, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Excuse me, this is Ed Suarez. I,
Yes.
along with my siblings, are the owners of, on the tax map, 54.1-2.31. And I received a letter from John Ingram dated December 23. And this is the first time I ever heard of any of this, indicating that my parcel, it's a 5.6 acre wooded parcel that is separated from our family farm by the reservoir aqueduct. So we have, like, you know, 2 rights of way over the aqueduct to access this other parcel, this 5.6 acre parcel. Even though this is referenced in this letter, it doesn't sound like this involves our parcel at all. Could I just get that understanding clarified? Because based on what I'm hearing here, this doesn't seem to affect our property at all.
It doesn't affect your property, but you are an adjoiner. If you're able to scroll to the left side.
Yeah, this thing is, I'm sorry, it's very tiny, so I can't really,
Yep,
I
you'll
really
see right
can't.
there, it says lands of Benigna.
That was my grandmother, yes, Suarez, yes.
So that is the parcel of land, and because you're adjoining the city property, that's why you received a letter.
I
So
see.
it's not affecting your parcel, other than the fact that the city is conveying, you know, the bridge and the roadway, a portion of it, to the foundation.
Okay, so but this would not affect in any sort of way our right of ways across the aqueduct or anything of that nature, correct?
Not at all. That does not affect that at all.
Very
Yeah,
good.
it's a requirement that when somebody makes a request like this, that all the adjoining property owners are notified of the action. So,
okay,
and that's what, if you did have some objections or you felt that this was going to adversely affect your property values or what have you, then you could have the opportunity to come speak at the public hearing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the
that's
only
why.
thing was because of the time involved here. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, this is the very first time I ever heard of this, and it was by a letter that I received on last Tuesday. So
Yeah.
I had no way of going up and verifying any of this information at the hall and I just wanted the town clerk's office, and I just wanted to make sure that this is not really, in fact, I mean, based on everything I've heard so far, and doesn't sound like it affects us at all. So I just wanted them just get that point clarified.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank
in fact, you'll probably shortly receive a second letter on the public hearing. So.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay.
And if, in fact, both of your right of ways are shown on this survey map.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. So unless anyone objects, Janelle, can we slot this in as a second public hearing for next month?
Absolutely.
I think that's so.
7:30 or-
so far, that's all we have on the agenda, right?
Yeah, would you want it to be 7:30 or, first one's at 7:10?
7:10, 7. Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably going to be more than 20 minutes to,
Yeah. How about 7:40?
yeah, let's say 7:40. And
Okay.
we can fill in with other things if we have extra time, but I doubt it. So by the time we go through the checklists and everything, so. Okay,
Great, thank you very much.
okay,
And,
thank
I'll
you.
get those revised maps to you tomorrow.
Yeah, and Janelle, do you have what you need? I think
I have their envelopes. The one thing they have not done is paid.
right.
Yeah, I think we need a determination of the amount, right?
Right, and, so it has changed for the start of the new year.
Yeah,
here.
I think you'll be happy.
Yeah, it's much better for you, Patty.
It's not per lot line, it's just per lot line adjustment, so.
Ah, that helps.
Whatever that means. I think it was $75, right?
Yeah, I'll have to look at the new, they just gave it to me, so I'll have to pull it out and I'll let you guys know what the fee is for a lot line adjustment.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
So that brings us to old business. I guess, right, Janelle?
Yeah, we just have to we have to, for all good sake, say at this point, this application is done and we have to start from scratch again because they've,
Right. So when was this originally submitted? Do you know offhand?
2020.
Right, okay, so it's been a year.
Yes, it's been
plus,
over a year. Yeah.
Okay,
But he kind of popped back in midway last year, but then we haven't heard again since, so.
yeah, okay, and to be fair, it's not that difficult for him if he needs to resubmit to take all the information he had before and package it up and give it back to us.
Yeah,
right?
because he really didn't have everything, he started out with 3 separate maps and, it went from there. No fees were paid. Really, not much was done on it. It was just more.
Yeah.
So it's just to close the books for Dawn's purposes at the town offices to close this application out.
Okay, do we send a letter or anything, or?
I'll let Dawn know that it's been discussed and it's closed out, and
Yep,
I will send a letter to Mr. Renaud and let him know that he would have to start the whole application process over when he's ready.
right. Yeah, it's not as onerous as it sounds.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah.
So,
Because
okay,
most everything probably has changed at that point anyway.
yep, okay,
Particularly, we know across the street is changing with NASA's.
yeah.
So,
So any other old business? Anybody have any other old business to cover? Okay. New business, the Shokan rentals. Do we have, I don't know, I don't think we have anybody on to talk
no,
about
you
that.
probably don't. It's just,
Right.
it was presented for consideration if we had room to put it onto a February
Yeah,
meeting. Just to
Okay.
kind of go back to old business.
I think Ed already expressed to me some concerns about it.
Yeah, but let's go back to old business. So,
Okay,
Mr. Senical, I don't know what happened there. There's been no further communication from him.
well, he basically said, I'll come back when I get the funds to take care of this stuff, right? I
Yeah,
think
so
it seemed to me like perhaps he and his attorney had a difference of opinion somehow. And so I don't know what's
So,
happened there, but
that one is just holding off and done. And just to let you all know, the lane application is not done yet. So at this point,
what do you mean by the lane application?
Maurice Lane?
Maurice Lane, because of course the maps have not been resubmitted for signature to be put to the county.
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of curious, because we went down and finally signed some things, right? But
You
it
did.
was well beyond the time frame that the county, it
Right.
seemed like, would accept it. So
And that's where it stands. So
Yeah.
Mr. Brewer has recreated the maps again, waiting on the lanes to pick the maps up, sign them, and get them to the town offices for new signature. So that
okay,
they can again present them to Ulster County. But now the big problem is this, that it is a whole legal issue. And there is now a court and trial set for the 26th of January. Because this has not been satisfied between the town and the lanes.
right.
So I'm just on top of the map not being filed. What that means is that the building office can't satisfy the whole certificate of occupancies and building permits for the two separate parcels, buildings. So it's a whole thing. And they have not paid one of the providers that they were supposed to be paying. So that's another issue. So there's now a court date, and Mr. Hepner was asking that I, represent the planning board on this, scheduled for January 26th. That might be a big problem for me since I am going in for the hip surgery on January 11th. So I don't know how mobile I will be in order to go to any sort of trial. And Mr. Epner was wondering if the chairman of our board would be able to represent if I can't.
On the 26th.
Yes.
I guess we'll take it as it comes, but I guess so. Or the vice chairman, perhaps. or the secretary. She's laughing. So I have to.
Might not be available that day.
I'm just kind of hopeful that the lanes satisfy this whole thing ahead of time, but it's not a very quick process with them. So that's where that's at.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of concerned when we finally got the maps, because I knew it was already beyond the time frame. So
yeah. And
okay.
They were quickly denied, when they got. She did go to the county with them, I guess, but they wouldn't accept it.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
That's where that. So at this point, Ashokian Rentals is the only other thing that's been presented. John is on here. So.
Right. So on the Ashokian rentals, Ed, maybe you could just say a couple words in terms of what's on the property that you're.
No, my interpretation is, I think there's 3 rentals there, and it's, the zone is half-acre business use or 1 acre residential. So there's three dwelling units there, so they technically need 3 acres. So if they chop off an acre with 3, this doesn't comply with our zoning. So I don't see this going anywhere.
It also looks like they didn't give the 25-foot road frontage either.
Yeah, well, that's secondary. If you can't, but maybe we would let Pretorius and Conrad know that in the future. So, but yeah, so I don't know. It doesn't comply with zoning what they're trying to do, in my interpretation.
So I guess we could put them on the agenda for next month, but perhaps if we can convey to them, in the meantime, convey to them that we'd like to understand how they believe that this proposal meets the zoning requirements for the 25-foot road frontage and for the 1 acre zoning per dwelling.
Well, does John Ingram have an opinion?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's just didn't get very far, but I think that's probably pretty close to the way it's supposed to be. A bit of shortage on land there for what's going on the front lot.
Right. So why don't we just throw it out? Why would we even put them on the agenda? It's a waste of time.
Okay. Janelle, what do you think?
Well, Mr. Ingram is the one that spoke to the gentleman. It's he originally proposed actually something less than an acre for the front lot. And I pointed that out to Mr. Ingram. And John did find something in the zone code. So I don't know if John can point out where he saw.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember what line we used, but he did move the proposed line back away from the stone wall, so it would be a full acre with the front house, buildings that are there on the front lot.
Right, but Ed is still saying that you need an acre per dwelling.
Yeah.
Well, the back lot has 1.939 acres. I mean, if he just moves the line between the two lots back and affords the 25 feet of road frontage as a flag.
No, that's not true. There's 3 apartments in that building. And according to our zoning, they need 3 acres to have 3 apartments, okay? They have 2.9 something. So they can't create a substandard lot to enable them to do the subdivision in the back. It's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I guess I have to admit, I'd have to go back and look and see what zoning reads for apartments. Is that, you consider that a residence? Is that what your thinking is, Ed?
But yeah, the definition of a dwelling unit is 1 family.
Right. So you have three one-family dwelling units.
That's the way I look at it. I mean, if that was a 1-family house in the front, they could do what they're talking about doing, you know?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, they're welcome to go to the zoning board for an interpretation, but the way I see it is pretty clear.
Well, so do we want to refer them to the zoning board if they want to proceed with their current proposal?
I mean, I think that would be a good idea because then at least they get an answer, not just from us.
Yeah, let them provide the interpretation. Agreed.
But if you know, if they need a variance, they probably wouldn't get it because there's no hardship involved.
So what zone are they in that with that?
That's half-acre business residential.
Half-acre business, 1 acre residential, right?
Correct, yeah.
So I suppose they could argue that a 3-unit apartment building is a business.
They could. Particularly how the ownership is classified. I mean, is it personally held? Is an LLC hold it, a trust, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
It can get pretty
Yeah.
complicated pretty quickly.
Yep, I think the zoning board, they can look at it. So Janelle, is that something you can communicate to them?
I'm confused myself, so I need to know. So where do you come up with half acre if it's business or 1 acre if it's residential?
On zoning, you know, our appendix A, it shows that if you're in village business, it's half acre. Minimum lot size for certain commercial uses is half acre. Residential and certain other uses in these districts require larger lots as per 155-16. 155-16. These are. Well, that just talks about the uses, though.
Is it not just a defined zone?
The section on the permitted uses, is that where you're looking, Heidi?
Yeah, and I just found it here on, it's part E. Single family residence, so this is page
155-15, yeah.
Single family residence on lots of 1 acre per dwelling in size. Well, the argument is the building a single dwelling with different units, or is the building 3 dwellings?
Well, this is where Ed made the point that it's a single family dwelling. So if you've got 3 families, 3 apartments, that's three dwellings essentially.
I still think that it'd be good to get the zoning board to weigh in on that determination.
Well, I think, our take would be that if he wants to pursue the application in its current form, that he's going to need the zoning board to say that it's permitted.
Were you guys able to hear what John said? It sounded like John, I thought, was saying he thought it was okay, what they were doing.
Well, that's what Mr. Ingram told me about 2 weeks ago, and he was reading from something somewhere, so I don't know.
Well, I think, and the issue is they want to build another home, right?
Right.
So they've got it. They're going to have a total of, well, the 3 dwelling units won't comply on 3 acres, on less than 3 acres to begin with.
Well, no, he was reading something that pertained to that, and I don't know.
And
The definition of a dwelling unit says a building or portion thereof providing complete housekeeping facilities for 1 family.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, if they do, they're gonna need to get that 25-foot strip, and then they're gonna need to go to zoning anyway, because they're gonna need to get a variance for that garage.
Because of the driveway?
Yeah.
Well, and my other question is on such a small lot in the back to begin, I mean, they've got not a buildable lot until Board of Health. I mean, on something like that, you don't want to create a 2 acre non-buildable lot sitting in the middle of show canopy.
No, the issue is you don't create a non-conforming parcel by doing this, okay?
Well, right.
If you create a 1 acre lot where you need 3 acres, that's just not what we're here for.
Right.
Right. So the question to the zoning board comes down to, is a 3-unit apartment, is it okay on 1 acre, or does it need 3 acres? Right? I think that's what it boils down to.
Right. We have a definition for a dwelling and we have a definition for a dwelling unit, which are different.
Yep. And then we talk about single family dwellings and 2 family dwellings on individual lots. So I think we'd be right to let the zoning board of appeals take a look at it.
Yeah.
And what do I, so that man is gonna have to put a specific application to the zoning board of appeals. So what is it that he's?
I don't know if he needs to put a specific application, or we're going to refer him to the zoning board of appeals for,
Board of Appeals will
I'll
need
say,
an application.
a judgment as to whether a 3-unit apartment complex is 1 acre allowed or not? Because that's what he's gonna, he wants to carve that off and leave 1 acre with the apartments.
Correct.
So I think the house on 2 acres or a little less than 2 acres, the new house is not an issue. But creating a non-conforming lot with 3 apartments on it is the concern. Is that accurate?
Steve, I'm sorry, just a quick question. So does the zoning board, I thought Janelle was just saying that the zoning board requires an application for discussion, right?
Yeah.
Well,
this is really more of a conversation, I would imagine, from the applicant, from this Mr. Gillis, to some town body to simply say, is this allowed or not?
The town body is Mr. Ingram.
So it's all in John's hot hands.
Well, or we can deny the application, but I guess I'm not prepared to go either way at this point. I would have to talk to them and see what their thinking was and how they believe it fits the zoning myself to do that. So.
Well, does that then come back to the original question is, can this just be brought up as conversation as part of an agenda rather than a public hearing, the formality of a public hearing? I mean, it's just trying to get some questions posed to the applicant in a friendly manner.
Normally we would have them come in anyway to explain what they're doing and go over the maps prior to scheduling the public hearing to make sure everything's ready.
Well, give them the 50 cards and say, this isn't looking good. You got to come in with some clarity about what you're looking to do and make sure you've got support.
Do we not, Janelle, have a method for our own referrals board to board? I'm not that I've had to do it since I've been here, I don't think, but for determination of definition or interpretation.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Reach out to them formally.
Yeah, but the interpretation is the applicant has to ask for an interpretation.
Right.
Right.
It's an application.
Okay.
It's an application. The zoning board hears it at a public hearing. And it's a whole process.
So we'd be asking for an interpretation of whether a 3 apartment complex is allowed on 1 acre as part of their application, because that's what they'll be creating.
Right, and part of the application is they're supposed to, an interpretation of section whatever of your code. So, so what section are we?
Well, it's kind of it's multiple sections.
You could highlight section 155-43 definitions. See all dwellings, and you can refer to 155 I believe it's 17. Part E.
And then the other thing that we also need to know is like what actual zoning district is that parcel lie in?
Well, that's pretty clear on the zoning map.
And that's business, village.
It's village business.
Right, which says half acre in our zoning.
Half acres per business use, 1 acre per dwelling unit.
And where do you see that part of it?
That's right on the zoning map.
Guys, to Heidi's point, if you go to 155-43, I mean, there is the definition of a multifamily dwelling, which probably we're all familiar with, at least narratively. And I quote, a dwelling containing 3 or more dwelling units.
Right, so the question becomes...
Is that permitted in this zone? That's the question.
Yeah.
Right, because the definition of, what in 155-17E, part 1, single family residence on lots of 1 acre per dwelling, doesn't say unit, doesn't say multifamily, it says single family residence. So I think the language is ambiguous.
Well, that's what the zoning board is for.
Yep.
To make a ruling.
Send them on.
Yep.
They can get a determination based on those 2 code references. They can come back to us and say, here's what they said. And Ed will say, I told you so.
No, I don't care. I really don't care. It's getting late and I'm about ready to adjourn. Anybody got any other business?
Yes, we do.
Oh, geez.
I wanted
He's
to
always got
note, and
something.
I believe that Simon Strauss is actually, was actually still on the call. Simon, are you still here?
Yes.
So I wanted to make the board aware that Simon has decided at this point to move forward with a request for open development for the property off of Indian Trail. If you recall that situation where it's got a private road, it's been there for quite some time, but as you read through the rules and regulations, in fact, in theory, the building department is not allowed to issue building permits because the properties don't have that 25 feet of road frontage on a public road. So Simon, you want to elaborate a little bit? I just wanted Simon to be able to introduce it to the board. So I know I haven't been through an open development before. I believe the only person on the board that has was Dave, and unfortunately he's not here to help us through this, although I may give him a call and solicit his guidance. But Simon?
Sure. Thanks, everyone. The plan is that our roughly 24.9 acre lot would be subdivided into 3 pieces. We have someone who's interested in the most northerly piece, 10 acres, but part of that interest is in having access to Indian Trail, which, as Steve said, is a private road. It's a mapped private road, but it's not a town road, and we plan for it never to be a town road, so the town would not have to take responsibility for maintenance. And we've been told that the open development seems to be the best way forward. I have spoken to Drew Boggess, who's on the town board and who has some experience of open development from the past. And hopefully Drew and you all at the planning board will be able to work out the best way to make this happen if it's going to meet all the right rules and regulations. And I believe the next step is that the town board will consider whether to take up an open development, and if so, seek the planning board's help in doing the work that needs to be done. I also understand from our engineers at Bernier and Larios that we need to make sure that the private road upgrade meets the fire department's regulations. And I know Brian Burns, the highway superintendent, has already been up to look at it. And Brian's going to be talking to Chris Winnie to make sure that's the case. And then we'll have engineering drawings for doing the work to upgrade the road, which hopefully will fit in the open development.
So my understanding is that perhaps it wasn't worked this way before. There's, I think, some flexibility in this, but I believe the town board is essentially the one that yays or nays the open development, but they are in fact by the 288 law required to refer it back to the planning board for our advice, counsel, comments. That's I guess where it stands. So Simon, we're going to do our best to work through the process here with you. And I think you're still working on some of the bits and pieces to go to the town board. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It should be exciting for us all. Steve, we'll learn a bit from this.
So, okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Simon?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much for taking the time to go through this with us. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? It's 9:35. Would anyone like to adjourn? Do I hear a motion? Do we have anything else to discuss?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn, and with just another word of thanks for Dave Sorbellini's service.
Yep.
You're here.
Yep.
All right. I'll second the adjournment.
All right. Have a great night. And,
Yep.
what's left of it, and we'll see you next month, I guess.
Okay, good night.
Okay,
Nice to
good
meet you,
night.
John. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.